guys, today I'm going to share my 10 favorite beginner stitches with you. Once you've perfected the knit and purl, then you have the foundation to knit these beautiful stitches. That's because all these stitches use a combination of knits and purls, with some special techniques thrown in like a yarn over or a knit two together. So if you're ready to move past garter stitch and challenge yourself with some fun new stitches, then this video is for you. I'll run through these stitches from the easiest to the hardest. I'll link tutorials on how to knit each stitch in the description and in the video above, top right. Now let's get into the stitches. Rib stitch. Rib stitch is all about stretch. It uses a combination of knits and purls. Because of its stretch, it's used for the cuffs of hats, mittens, socks, and more. It's a very practical stitch. You'll encounter it in a lot of patterns, and it's a great way to practice switching from knits to purls. Seed stitch. This is a nubby textured pattern that's made up of knits and purls. It's reversible and incredibly satisfying to knit, and it feels really nice too. Moss stitch. Moss stitch is a close cousin of seed stitch. It's sometimes called double seed stitch because it's knit by working the 2 rows of seed stitch twice. It's also textured, reversible, and made entirely of knits and purls. This scarf is knit entirely in moss stitch. I'll include a link to the pattern in the description. Mistake rib stitch. This stitch is just a 1-row repeat, if you can believe it. It's made up of knits and purls, and it creates this cool rib-like texture. I know you're not supposed to have favorites, but this is easily one of my favorite stitches. I also have an infinity scarf pattern that's knit in mistake rib stitch. Link for the pattern in the description. Double woven rib. This gorgeous stitch looks a bit like it's woven thanks to the strand of yarn that's carried in front of the knitting. While it may look complicated, it's actually a very simple 2-row repeat. The stitch tends to curl, which is why I have a garter stitch border all the way around. I can see the stitch knit into a throw pillow or a tea towel. It's such a unique stitch. Purse stitch. Purse stitch is a 1-row repeat that's a great introduction to lace knitting. The stitch is open and lacy, it's reversible, and it lays flat. I can see it knit into a wide scarf or even a little shopping tote or beach cover-up. So cute. Hurdle stitch. Hurdle stitch is a lovely textured stitch made of knits and purls. The stitch gets its name from the line of purls that resembles hurdles that horses jump over. The stitch is a 4-row repeat. It lays flat and is reversible. I can see it knit into a chunky scarf, a blanket, and even a sweater or hat. Open honeycomb. Open honeycomb is a really pretty stitch that looks like a honeycomb. It's a 4-row repeat. It includes knitting and purling and some new techniques like yarn overs and an SSK decrease. Now this stitch tends to tilt towards the left, so you'll need to block it to neutralize that bias. I can see the stitch knit up into a shawl or even a tank top. It's super sweet. Feather and fan. Feather and fan stitch is sometimes called old shell or old shale because the stitch resembles ocean waves rolling onto sand shales. Feather and fan is a great introduction to lace knitting. The stitch stays flat and has a scalloped edge that extends from the cast on edge to the cast off. It lays flat and looks pretty on the reverse side as well. Indian pillar stitch. The Indian pillar stitch is a gorgeous 2-row pattern that features a column of baubles. It also looks a bit lacy, but that's just because we use larger needles to knit this pattern. The Indian pillar stitch lays flat and looks pretty on both sides. It would look beautiful knit into a scarf or as a decorative panel in sweaters, mittens, or socks. Knitting the bauble is a little bit tricky, which is why this stitch gets the number 10 spot. And that wraps up the 10 best stitches for beginner knitters. Which stitch are you gonna knit? And did I miss a stitch that you wanted included? Let me know all about it down in the comments. If you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up. It really helps me by letting YouTube know that this is a good video that they should recommend to other viewers. I'm Davina from sheepandstitch.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!